All right. Hi. I'm back again with I guess a part 2 to like a part 1 that I started. And maybe there's going to be more parts. But what I started was about demonic, I guess, maybe encounters, presences. My last video that I kind of got the ball rolling with about this whole topic was like spiritual predators, but mainly human. Then I got to the part of the video where the demonic part came up, and I said, this is gonna call for another video. So this is that video. I was raised Southern Baptist, so when it comes to Satan and the perception of it kind of goes into like the esoteric sometimes, like the undefinable, but it's real. So I've had a continuation of what's taught in most churches about demonic beings. Now there's demonic, but demonic can be confused for God, and God can be confused for demonic, and it's not a confusion thing, but it's basically in some life events they can seem so devastating that they seem like they're just a curse. But that's where you have to stop and realize you don't know how God works. So I don't know how God works, so that's when I'm just like, well, there must have been a reason, or like I don't know the reason. But whatever it is, I just summarize all that to say it. I'm not going to do any guessing because I don't know. And it's kind of none of my business because it's God's business. But then there are the demonic attacks that kind of happen directly, meaning like physically. And then there's the kind that happen like through people. And with the ones that happen through people, it's kind of hard to differentiate whether the things that they do are by choice or by possession or a blend of both. Because you have the aspects of human nature that kind of take you to that like place, that not so hot place. But then you have things that might like trigger that or send you in that direction, and that could be demonic, or it could be the person like making a choice independently of anything, just to like fuck with people. But then there's the notion of, is voluntarily looking to mess with people like demonic and something that needs to be kind of like broken of the person? Or what I'm discovering is that the person is fundamentally evil and they're choosing this intentionally, and it's just really who they are. The other kind of encounter that I had, and I could go into the hows and whys and details about these things, and maybe that'll be my next video. But with the point that I wanted to get mainly in this video was like when I had like a physical encounter with a being that was in my son's room, my youngest, as he was sleeping. And at the place that I was, they had 2 different rooms, and they slept in 2 different rooms, and I would go in and check on them like multiple times a night, like lots. Like, yeah, that's me. I do a lot of checking on my boys when they're sleeping. Like, I'm in the next room, but I'm in there 10, 20 times a night. So, yeah, so one of these times I went in there and I saw like a orb, I guess, like a mist, like a black kind of spirit in like the corner of like where the wall meets the ceiling, and like in the angle, not like in the far back corner, but like further up the wall there, like boom. So right in this area was like where the spirit was. And at the time I was having like an encounter with someone who had passed at the same time. It was actually the people that were murdered that were my neighbors. And it was my first time really like knowing that they were there. If I cry, just ignore me. Kind of happens when profound things happen. But it was like my first time that I was realizing that they were around me. And they were my best friends. They were people who taught me about art. And as I got older, I realized like the severity of like the murders, like how they died, the age that they were killed at, the person who killed them, the person that like protected, in my eyes, my family from that person. So that night I had kind of like a visit from them, but then it was kind of like I realized that and I had help from another friend that kind of guided me to like this realization. And then I had the realization after I realized that they were there, that they had never like gone. So it was all really like extreme because there were other things that happened that night. And so I was just in a state of like awe and really being like happy and taken aback. And all of those things kind of like wear you down just a little bit. So you get kind of like relaxed, I guess. You just don't sweat the small stuff at that point. And so when I went to go check on my youngest is when I saw this being, and I was in this like state of like, oh, evil spirit, I'm gonna talk to it. And my help that helped me to realizing that my friends were there, and they were murdered when I was like 5, and I'm 35. I was 35 at the time. I'm about to be 36. So yeah, and I'd never really thought about them. Like even now, like even after that happened, I just so back to the point. I knew that the spirit was there, and I was at this like mind frame of like, oh well, I can just like talk to it. And I was urged and told and commanded like very strongly, do not talk to that. That is what you don't talk to. That is what you leave alone. That is what is impossible. And that's when I kind of had it dawn on me that I was really like dealing in the spiritual realm. Because here on earth, I feel like anything can be talked through or spoken about, even though like I throw my tantrums and I'll I'll try my best to disappear, but I always know that things can be worked out. And, but when I felt that instruction, I knew it to be true. And that's when I realized like I was dealing with something completely different than really I had ever had before. I've experienced things that deal a lot with death and murder, and not a lot. Don't think I'm like so hardcore or just been through it all, like, you know, just made it. Like, just I've had my toes in the water a few times. And could those events be categorized as demonic attacks? That's where the beginning of this video kind of like comes in. But when you experience like true demonic forces, like from the root, it's a lot different. Yeah, they have a different everything. It's not the only time that I've experienced these things, so. But I will say, like, experience helps, because then it becomes not so bad. And like I said in other videos, the power of God trumps everything. So it's the inertia that's the toughest part. It's like getting over like the first time, or like the first couple times, or the first few times, and then after that you kind of like get it. Yeah, I'll just stop there. Maybe the stories I have will come up in other videos, but for now I think that they would just be rambling. I think I've made my point. I don't even know if I had a point, but I said what I wanted to say in a way that I wanted to say it. So that's when I draw the line and say, I'll talk to you guys later. And carry on. I'll carry on. You enjoy the rest of your day or night, and talk soon.